on the Aztec Sports Network from Lear Field Source. This is the Aztec Coaches Show.
Ball back to the near side. Touchdown! Aztec!
The Aztec Coaches Show is brought to you by Claim Jumper La Mesa. Welcome to the Aztec Coaches Show. Now, here's your host, Chris Ello.
And sitting in for Chris Ello tonight, I'm Mike Costa. Welcome to the Coaches Show here on your home for the Aztecs in Southern California, AM 600. For the next hour, we'll be talking Aztecs football with head coach Brady Hoke. If you'd like to call the program, dial now, 800-600-5646, 800-600-KOGO. You can also dial locally, 858-569-TALK, 858-569-8255. Coming in the next hour, we'll take a look back at this past weekend, a big game for the Red and Black down in Fort Worth with then third-ranked TCU. We'll get to some of the emails, your phone calls, some of the members of our audience here at the Claim Jumper in La Mesa. If you have a question for Coach Hoke tonight, please step up to the microphone when you get the opportunity. And we will also look forward to a big showdown this weekend. The University of Utah paying a visit to Qualcomm Stadium. Those of you from San Diego, welcome to the Claim Jumper. Those of you from Muncie, Indiana, welcome to the Claim Jumper tonight out here in La Mesa. How's your week going so far?
It's been pretty good. We've had good practices, good concentration, good effort, good physicalness, and the things that we like to do. So I like where we're at as a football team.
Going back to what transpired on Saturday down at Texas Christian in Fort Worth, taking on the number 3 ranked team in the country, the Horned Frogs, and we have talked about this, and I think it bears repeating. Ryan Lindley said something very poignant after that football game, and I'm sure it was brought up to him. Wow, even though you didn't win the game, wow, you played so well, another moral victory. And I think Ryan cut the reporter off and said, wait a second, that phrase does not exist as pertains to San Diego State football anymore. We don't know what that means. We came here to win the game, and we lost. That's what we are dwelling on now. And I think that statement by one of the leaders on your football teams speaks volumes about how far this team has really come.
Well, I mean, well, believe me, thank you, but we really haven't done anything. Our goal was to win the Mountain West Conference Championship, and we failed this year with this team.
Mm-hmm.
This team, I think, has learned a lot about itself and about what we can be and what we will be. And, Ryan, we've got great leadership. He's part of that leadership. We have great seniors who have done a tremendous job, Mike. But we've got to, as a team, when you play in those games, you've got to play 4 quarters. There's going to be 6 to 7 plays in a game that are, when you play in championship games, that really define who's going to win and who's going to lose.
Sure.
And we didn't execute when we needed to, offensively, defensively, or in the kicking game. It's probably one of our worst kicking game performances we've had all year. And we can't play that way if we want to be champions. And so we regroup, obviously,
right.
and what we'd like to do as a team is win 10 games. And, that's a significant number, and that's a significant number when you look at across this country in the Division I, how many teams win 10.
Sure.
And for us, a couple of different things. Number one, for our seniors, they're going to play their last 2 home games as in Aztec Warrior Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a significant thing for them. And then we have a bowl game that we will play in, and hopefully we get there. And then, it's been since 1977 since San Diego State has won 10 games, and why not us? So
Absolutely.
That's what we're looking forward to.
Before we start, and we'll touch briefly on TCU. I know you don't really like spending a lot of time looking back. You want to look forward to, but we'll discuss it in detail a little bit. But about this football team, this group, when you first took over on Montezuma Mesa, the mental makeup of this group, where they were to where they are now, and there's been a couple games this season that maybe have been coming-of-age games for this Aztec football team. A tough loss against Missouri. We know what happened with the BYU game. The TCU game last week, taking the number 3 team in the country to the hilt. What about the maturation process with this group?
Well, I think like with any program, you grow. And, that they grow from a lot of different areas. Number one, the staff that I'm fortunate to have are unbelievable. They are guys who are seasoned, guys who have coached a lot of football, guys who know kids, who care about kids, and not just the football end of it, but their life lessons that we try and teach every day. And our strength and conditioning program. And you've heard me talk about Aaron and what he's done, and what not just in lifting weights and that, but the mental approach that he takes each and every day with our players is something that a lot of people aren't fortunate enough to get, to be honest with you, and that's why he's so important to the program. But and our kids continue to grow. They continue to understand what's acceptable and what the expectations are, and as long as we keep pushing it that way, and they understand it, and believe me, we're pretty clear about what we expect.
Sure.
They'll do a great job.
With that physical conditioning and being in better shape and being able to go strong for 4 quarters and not being gassed in the 4th quarter, is the next step the mental strength? Is the fact that you're mentally tough in the 4th quarter, is that just natural process?
Well, I don't think there's any doubt that that's, the games, and really once you get done with your summer conditioning and you've done winter and spring and all that, and when you're done with fall camp, everything from then on is really played from the neck up, and it's a mental game, and it's how you prepare and how you visualize for success, and your expectations to go in and win. And that's a big part of it, and that's something that we talk about every day, is how we want to approach each day of practice and how we want to improve. And no matter if you're a left guard or if you're a nose tackle, I mean, you've got to improve every day if you want to keep growing as a football team.
When you were putting this staff of coaches together before you decided, okay, I'm coming to San Diego State as the head football coach, did you think about the chemistry of these guys, the fact that, okay, I might need a yeller here at this position, I need somebody who's very cerebral and very quiet at this position? Is your mindset that when you're putting them together, or are you just saying, what the hell, I need damn good football coaches, let's go?
No, to be honest with you, I yell enough for everybody.
You do. I've seen you do that before on the sidelines.
I don't have a problem with that, but no, I mean, number one, you want good character men, because we are teachers and we are mentors, and that's first and foremost. And I learned that a long time ago, that the type of men that you want to have in the program, because then you're going to have the type of wives in the program that you want to have. And believe me, you've got to think about those things. But I knew who I was going to bring from Muncie with me. I knew that for sure. And then, Rocky and I had conversation, and Al and I had conversation, and, those two, and then Dan Ferrigno, who I've coached with for 10 years, now 12 years. He was a guy that I knew that I wanted to work with again and would do a great job. So, it's funny, because believe me, we got some guys. Our offensive line coach, Darryl Funk, he's going to get after you, and if you're not doing
very
it the right way,
intimidating individual.
Well, but he's played the position, he's coached it, and he's an excellent coach and teacher. And we've got some guys who are a little more vocal, I guess I'd call it, and teach in a little different way.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the toughness of your team is always going to be the guys up front on offense and the guys up front on defense, and that better carry the toughness of your football team.
Has it been tough being the head coach / defensive line coach as well? Tough with that juggling act?
You know what? I could really do without the head coach stuff. I love coaching the defensive line. That's my favorite time of the day.
Right.
When I'm in there with those kids and we get and then out on the practice field. I mean, that believe me, this head coaching stuff is overrated.
Yeah.
I mean, being with those kids and coaching a position is what I love to do.
One of the things that really stands out to me, and maybe the Aztec fans who are watching your sideline during a football game, it doesn't matter if things are going great or things maybe are not going so great. Your demeanor is pretty much the same, and your assistant coaches, and something I appreciate, and I'm not even being coached by them, is that they're not screaming, they're not yelling, they're not getting in people's faces. They're working the problem. And in the past, we've had coaches throwing their hats down and screaming and yelling. And you got to remember, these are 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old kids, they're not 40-year-old men who are like, all right, whatever. And I think that's a tribute to you as the head coach, the fact that it's problem solvers, problem workers, and not people who are screaming and yelling and intimidating, especially during the game.
Well, the one thing I really believe, and believe me, I get criticized probably because of my demeanor on game day. My work week goes from Sunday through Friday. And on Saturday, believe me, we're working, we're thinking, and we're changing things. But on Saturday, we either got the guys ready or we don't, or we know what we want to do. And we talk about, when you play the game of football, there's an aggression you want to play with, but there's also a poise and composure that you have to have. And if I'm screaming at every kid who makes a mistake, they're 18 to 23, Heck, I'm 52, and I make a lot of mistakes every day. And, believe me, I wouldn't like to be screamed at. But on game day, you got to have poise, and you have to be able to think. And, believe me, I get excited, but,
sure.
And I get mad. I get more mad probably at coaches who don't have poise and composure, or officials who sometimes I don't know if they're at the game.
Or sideline reporters who ask stupid questions in the post-game interview.
Well,
I've seen you get mad at those guys, or that guy before.
Well, you know what? We're going to work with you on that, Mike. I'll tell you. We're going to work with you on it.
As mentioned, this is the Aztecs Coaches Show out here at Claim Jumper La Mesa. Hurrying to Claim Jumper every Wednesday night to join the Aztecs Coaches Show starring Coach Brady Hoke. Claim Jumper in La Mesa, proud to be the official host location of the Aztec Coaches Show. Happy hour starting at 3, goes all night long. See you Wednesdays here at Claim Jumper in La Mesa. We'll step aside for our first break. The Aztecs Coaches Show with Brady Hoke continues after this on your home for the Aztecs in Southern California, AM 600 Kogo. And the Aztec Coaches Show continues live from the Claim Jumper here in La Mesa on a Wednesday night. If you're too busy to cook, bring Claim Jumper home this Thanksgiving. Fresh, slow-roasted turkey breast, homemade apple and sourdough herb stuffing, mashed and sweet potatoes with gravy, and decadent Claim Jumper apple or pumpkin pie. Take Claim Jumper home for Thanksgiving. Call your local Claim Jumper today. If you have a question for the coach, you'd like to talk to head coach Brady Hoke, give us a call at 800-600-5646, locally 858-569-TALK, 858-569-8255. A big game down in Fort Worth, Coach, this past Saturday with TCU. A game that started out well. The second quarter, as we talked about, a little bit of the Achilles in this one for the Aztecs. Aztecs, though, obviously made a game of it and really gave TCU a run for the money. Having had the chance to completely look at the film and take a look, what were your thoughts coming out of the TCU game?
Well, the game couldn't have started any better than we'd like for
Sure.
it to. But, we didn't execute well, and we struggled offensively almost until the beginning of the fourth quarter. And when you can't possess the ball, and we played a lot on defense, and, we thought in the second quarter we didn't play as aggressive when you look at some of the coverage aspects of it, and you look at, maybe some of the movement things that we try and do up front. But, it definitely, we've got to possess the ball a little more. We've got to make some first downs. And they don't, every drive doesn't have to be a touchdown, I think we all know that. But, you got to be able to possess the ball better, and we didn't do that. And, you got to give TCU a lot of credit. They're a pretty good football team, and they play pretty good on defense, and they do a lot of good things. But, at the end of the third quarter, we started gaining some momentum. I think, defensively, when we kept them to field goals in the second half instead of touchdowns, I think that was good for our team. The one thing I can tell you, Mike, and I was asked this the other day, our guys on the sideline were amazing. I mean, they never batted an eye. They were positive with each other. They were extremely into the game, and that's the one thing I kept hearing up and down the sideline was stay in the game. Stay in the game no matter what happens, and we had talked about that all week. No matter what happens with it, stay in the game. If we get up, stay in the game. If we get down, stay in the game. And, we talked about, in the fourth quarter, we're going to take the lead. And then we all got to stay in the game. And, we fought, and I think the kids did a good job of fighting, and I think the kids did a good job of staying in the game and staying together.
What was their mood like in the locker room after? I'm curious, obviously, not in there with you. I talked about what Ryan Lindley had to say after the football game. Wasn't it an upset bunch? Not lamenting, oh, woe is me, but an upset bunch because that game was lost.
Yeah, they were disappointed, and I would have been, believe me, I would have been disappointed if they weren't disappointed. I mean, you play games to win, and you compete, and you work since this team has since January 22nd, and so when you go out there and you don't accomplish your goal or you don't meet the expectations, they were upset, which is maybe something I didn't see too much a year ago.
You mentioned that, and I'm curious. You have talked about the goal is to get better each week. You want to see improvement in all three facets week to week. Do you have those benchmark games, though, in a season where maybe you look back in a quiet, reflective moment and say, well, we just didn't take a step in this game. We took a big step. Have you had those moments this year with this football team?
Well, I don't know. I really evaluate the season, to be honest with you, when the season's over. And my brain doesn't work quick enough to do it week by week. And so, when the season's over, we'll look at what we did well, what we didn't do well enough. And when I say that, I'm talking about us as coaches. I'm not talking about the players. I mean, it starts with me, and there things I could do better, to get this team where we want to be. And then we'll look at, offense and defense and the kicking game, and are there things that we can coach better? Are there things personnel-wise we should have been maybe more on top of it or whatever? And, really go back to the basics and the fundamentals of what we coach and how we coach it and how we structure a practice schedule. I think it's always great, and that's one thing about this staff, because there's so many guys from different places or have coached at a lot of different schools and different programs that, you have a lot of things that we share with each other. And, at the end of the day, I'm going to make the decision of how we're going to do it. And but, it's helpful when you look at things.
2 games to go, 2 games at home, and I can't tell you how much joy it gives me to say, and a postseason berth on the horizon as well. We have not been able to say that around San Diego State for a very long time. That's right, absolutely. That is an early Christmas present for the Aztecs. 2 games to go, though. Looking at this football team this year so far, have there been a couple areas that have jumped out to you, maybe improved a lot more than you thought they would?
Well, I think our offensive line is really – and I get the luxury of looking at coaching film and all that kind of stuff. And even though we didn't run the ball as well as we wanted to a week ago, they are working their tails off. They are more aggressive at the line of scrimmage. I think they're protecting better, and I think their growth and development. I think our 2 corners have played well. And then when Jose got hurt, I thought Larry came in and did a good job, and Josh Wade. I mean, Leon's played and had a heck of a year, and I like the development Ernie Lawson's made. I'll be honest with you, because I think he's a much better, more physical, more mature football player. But and you could go talk about a lot of the different kids that way, and I think Ryan and his development, of really understanding the offense that we run and what's going on with it. So. I think there's a lot of kids that have gotten better. I think the biggest thing, probably, Mike, is how much they care about each other and how much they respect each other. And when you have that, and, you look at Brandon Sullivan, a guy who, believe me, he loved me carrying the ball, and I've talked about that a lot, but what he has done and how he's grown is just going to help him down the road, when he gets into professional life.
Well, he defines being selfless, whatever is best for the football team. Brandon Sullivan right there in a nutshell.
Yep.
All right, we will take another break here. When we get back, those of you in the audience, you have a question for the coach, get ready to step up to the microphone. We'll also continue to take any phone calls that are out there. Give us a call, 800-600-5646, 858-569-8255. Get to some emails as well. This is the Aztec Coaches Show with head coach Brady Hoke, live from the Claim Jumper here in La Mesa, on your home for the Red and Black in Southern California, AM 600 Kogo. And the Aztecs Coaches Show continues live from Claim Jumper here in La Mesa. Mike Costa sitting in for Chris Ello tonight. Chris with the women's basketball team alongside head coach Brady Hoke. Just a reminder, the Aztecs' next home game Saturday, November 20th. This Saturday is the Aztecs take on number 24 Utah at 7. The Wells Fargo Aztec Village will open at 5. Be sure to get there at 5:45 for the traditional Warrior Walk. If you have not seen the Warrior Walk, if you have not been part of it, get out and check out this brand new tradition, a tradition they have brought back at San Diego State University. You want to be tied to this football program. It all starts with the Warrior Walk. The first 20,000 fans through the gates will receive a number 34 Kirk Morrison jersey. Aztec football tickets start at just $11, available online at goaztecs.com, by phone at 619-283-SDSU or at Qualcomm Stadium Window E. The game is the third annual Red and Black Go Green game, sponsored by Think Blue San Diego. Be sure to stop by the Think Blue Green Expo in the Wells Fargo Aztec Village for your chance to win a trip to Ireland. Got a phone call? Got a question for the coach? Give us a call at 800-600-5646 or 858-569-8255. Coach, we have a lot of Aztec fans in the audience tonight who have questions for you. We start off with this gentleman in the corner. Please just tell us what your name is and ask the coach your question.
Hi, Coach. Al O'Neill from Alpine. I've got kind of a tongue-in-cheek question for you here. A lot of us are really enjoying how you talk about toughness and intensity with the team. One of the more visible aspects of that is Ernie Lawson's helmet. And I was wondering what might happen to an equipment manager if he tried to paint that thing.
Well, I think right now, athletes and kids, football players, and a lot of athletes are pretty superstitious in what they wear, and so I know we've got a game helmet for him probably somewhere, but Ernie enjoys, in fact, Carlos, our equipment guys right here, Louisa right here, he does a great job for us, and I can tell you, Ernie is very satisfied with the helmet he has, and he likes to wear it.
Al, appreciate the question tonight. Do we have another question in the audience for Coach Hoke tonight?
Hi, Coach. It's me, Tiger, again.
All right, Tiger.
Hey, I'm posing this because the people I was with that watched the game told me to ask you this.
Okay.
All right. When you tackled that quarterback in the end zone, how many people did you have rushing the quarterback?
We brought 6 guys. We brought 6, and one of them was involved in what we call check coverage. He's checking the back.
Exactly, and then the thing that was getting us was that we very seldom seen you do that again in the first half, because that guy looked like he was ready to be had. I think if you'd have knocked him on his butt about 2 more times, he wouldn't have been as good as he was.
Well, Tiger, you know what? We ran that blitz a couple different times again, and they picked it up a little better. I mean, they kept enough guys in. And the one thing I'll tell you about Andy Dalton, their quarterback, he does a great job of getting rid of the football. He knows where he wants to go with it. They're on a little bit of a shorter routes than downfield routes.
One more thing.
Yes.
What I've been noticing is that all these teams seem to be wanting to attack your right flank for some reason. They always on your right. That's what when they run. They don't run up the middle, but they'll run to your right to make yards. And one, have you noticed that? And two, what are you doing about that?
Well, I really, I think maybe you're looking a little tilted at it a little bit, but if you're running to our right, you're running to Miles Burris most of the time, and statistically, Miles is making a lot of tackles, so that's a good thing.
Tiger, appreciate the question there. We have another question from Coach Hoke. Some of the future Aztec football players on hand here tonight, Coach.
Yep, that's right.
What's your name, big man?
Chase.
Hello, Chase.
What's your question, Chase?
Coach, I was wondering if you thought that you and your men had a really good chance at a bowl game win.
If we do, yes, most definitely. That's why we're going to play the game.
And Groucho Marx, you have a question.
I saw him in the bathroom. He was shaving.
I'm Luke, and my question is, do you think that you can beat TCU next year?
Luke, that's a great question, and I have no doubt in my mind we can beat TCU next year.
We have one more question for you, Coach Hoke.
Hi, Coach. Mark Schiller, and I just want to say we are so excited with the success you've had with the team this year.
Thank
I
you,
just
Mark.
want to know if you'll be back next year and the years to come.
Well, I can tell you we enjoy what we're doing here. We enjoy San Diego, and where is she? She's probably not in a hurry to go anywhere real soon. So, and I'll tell you, we as long as they would like us to stay around, we'll stay around.
Coach, quickly before our next break, some emails that have come in. Dear Coach Hoke, can you tell me what the winning recipe has been when so many before you and your staff have failed to turn this thing around? That came from Steve in San Clemente.
First of all, the staff, the guys, Wellman, strength conditioning program. I think the discipline that we expect in everything we do, the respect for each other that we expect. I mean, it's nothing real. Kids, they want discipline, they want structure, they want people who care about them. And, the guys who don't, you don't want in your program. And it's simple as that. And I think the honesty and the communication that we have, is, if a guy doesn't like it, he's not going to last very long. So, I think that, I don't know if there's a winning formula. I just know the consistency that you have to be, with kids every day, and that's what we try and do.
And one more is from Jerry in San Diego. I'm a diehard member of the Red and Black Nation, and I just want to say how proud your team has made me this year. I appreciate the winning football and also the fact that they conduct themselves, your players, like gentlemen off the field as well.
Well, that's nice, and that's nice to hear, and that's important. Believe me, we have 115 kids on our team, and I can tell you it's like this room. If there's 115 people, there's probably about 6 to 8 knuckleheads in here, and you're one of them, and I'm one of them.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
So I can tell you, but it's society, and the thing about it is you want to pull a bond together, and they want to play for each other, and that's the secret of it, I guess, is when they care about each other.
All right, we'll take one more break here. When we get back, we'll get to our California Bank and Trust Student Athlete of the Week. And we also start talking about the Utah Utes. They are in town Saturday night, the 24th ranked team in the country. We'll find out what the Aztecs have to do to get another win this season as the Aztec Coaches Show continues live from the Claim Jumper in La Mesa, right here on your home for the Red and Black in San Diego, AM 600 KOGO. And the Aztec Coaches Show continues live from the Claim Jumper here in La Mesa. Aztec head football coach Brady Hoke with us for one more segment on a Wednesday night. Before we go any further tonight, somebody from the Muncie, Indiana contingent celebrating her 94th birthday tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, Maxine Powell, 94 years young. If I can make it a week without cutting off my own head, it's a victory. I can't think about getting to 94.
Well, you don't take care of yourself like Maxine does. It's obvious. Everybody can see it.
Before we start talking about the University of Utah, it's time for our California Bank and Trust Student Athlete of the Week. California Bank and Trust, proud to recognize San Diego State's outstanding student athletes. This week's California Bank and Trust Student Athlete of the Week is swimmer Caitlin Weddle. Weddle has been named the Mountain West Conference Swimmer of the Week, marks the second career award for the sophomore from Yuma, Arizona. The native of Yuma, Arizona, recorded first-place finishes in 6 events while helping lead San Diego State to dual meet wins over BYU and TCU last week. Majoring in aerospace engineering at San Diego State. Congratulations to Caitlin Weddle, this week's California Bank and Trust Student Athlete of the Week. I would assume you're going to have a very ornery and ticked-off Utah Ute football team coming into Qualcomm on Saturday night based on what has happened to them the last 2 weeks. A huge loss at home against TCU, somewhat of an embarrassing loss last week in Notre Dame against the Fighting Irish.
Well, number one, they are a well-coached football team. I mean, Kyle does a great job. His staff does a tremendous job. They have done a great job. They've got tradition in what they've done in the past 10 years, and even before then. When Ron McBride was up there, they were a physical bunch and a tough bunch, and I think they do a great job. And you can look at it a couple different ways because I've been asked that a lot, but I mean, number one, sometimes in football, the TCU game for them, TCU did everything right. And when you watch the game, you watch the tape, and the ball bounced the right way for them. I think Andy Dalton was unbelievable in that football game, putting the ball where it needed to be. Their defense played with a lot of moxie and a lot of, charisma or whatever you want to call it. So, that game, that can happen, and those things do happen. And then they had to go to South Bend, and you're playing that team in South Bend, and it's raining, and it's a horrible day. And, let's face it, they are Notre Dame. I mean, they do have good football players. I mean, and so, I mean, that, is probably shocking to some degree, but at the same time, any given Saturday, anything can happen. And so, they're a good football team, and they've got good players, and they've got good coaches. They have a lot of pride. So they'll give us their A game, and we've got to have our A game.
Do they, Coach, do they do something better than other things on that football team? You got a San Diego and Jordan Wynn back there at quarterback for Utah. Does the passing game really jump out at you? Is it that running game and that big offensive line? What really, when you first watch them on tape, what jumps out?
Well, it starts with how they run the football. They got 4 out of 5 starters up front back. Eddie White is a tremendous runner. Matt Anastasia is a tremendous runner, downhill, tough guys, and that offensive line. And then Jordan is a guy who I think throws the deep ball as well as anybody that we've played all year. Mm-hmm. And he has great timing with it. He's missed 2 games because he was hurt a little bit, but at the same time, he look at the resume he put forward last year, as a true freshman, and what he did with that team. And they're a tremendous football team, and defensively they're going to come after you. I mean, they're going to play a lot of man free and put guys in the box and all those things, and we have to be able to execute. And we have to execute if they're going to put a lot of guys up for the run. We've got to be able to be accurate in our throw game and get off press coverage and all those things.
Is it are they vulnerable to the long ball, the deep ball on defense and what you've seen?
I don't know. I mean, I think we all are at times. Mm-hmm. It just depends, and if the quarterback drops it right, and if you get beat by a half a step, as if you're a defensive back, those things can happen. But I think when you look at them, and you could take the TCU game out of it, and Notre Dame, they block a punt for a touchdown, they return a kickoff for a touchdown. I mean, so that defense is a good defense, mm-hmm. and it's just a matter, of them playing together as a team.
Looking at the Aztecs going into this game, before we talk about what offense and defense have to do, any updates on the injury front? I know a couple guys are nicked and bruised, which is, normal for this time of the year with a team. Right. Well, and we've been kind of on defense beat up a little bit. Mm-hmm. B.J. Williams is out for the year. He had surgery today. That went well. Romeo Horn had another surgery on his foot today. Marcus Yarborough is getting around better, but he's probably a 50-50 guy for this weekend. Losing Jake Feely early in the year because he was our backup Mike linebacker, and on all the special teams, and Dajuan Hemmings being out. I mean, it just we're just a little bit beat up defensively more so than offensively, and. A lot of young guys are stepping up, and that's the expectation. A guy goes down, you got to step up and play. But, it affects your special teams a little bit because now you're playing guys maybe a little more on special teams, or you're bringing guys up who haven't had much experience, and they're playing on special teams. What do the Aztecs have to do to beat Utah and get out of there with another win?
Well, it's probably the same formula that you hear me always say, but I believe it, and we believe it as a staff. Number one, our kicking game has to be much better than it was last week, and we had some opportunities. We didn't punt the ball as well as Brian usually punts it, and he's the best punter in this league by far, and we didn't cover punts as well, and that's got to be rectified. And then on our kickoff coverage, we've got to do a better job. They had to get out to midfield, and the last one was one that killed you a little bit because of the field position, trying to get the ball back. And then, running the football has got to be a priority. And if they want to, stack it up in there a little bit with safeties like most people have done lately, then we've got to be able to execute in the throw game and make some things happen. And then defensively, it all starts with stopping the run. And, if we can make a team one-dimensional, Coach Long has enough, Rocky has enough stuff that can make it real hard on a quarterback. And so that's all part of it. And the guys up front got to do a great job being disruptive, and linebackers got to fill, and we got to get off blocks better.
The fact that the Mountain West Conference is losing BYU and Utah, is that any sort of extra impetus going into the game, knowing, especially the seniors on your football team, knowing that this might be the last shot at Utah for a while, based on the fact that they'll be in the Pac-10 next year?
Well, I mean, obviously the Mountain West wasn't good enough for them, the talent level and all that. So, then they had to make a decision that was best for their university. So, and they made it, and they're leaving the conference. And, we can talk all about those guys leaving, but you're going to pick up Fresno, who's a great natural rival for us. And I think Pat Hill does a great job. Nevada with Chris Alton, then Boise State. So I think the Mountain West is in good hands.
There's really not a lot of drop-off when you think about who's leaving, especially when who's coming in, vacating those, taking those vacant spots.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think that our conference is as good a conference as there is in this country, and for us not to be an automatic qualifier is really a disservice, to this conference. And, hopefully we keep changing the minds of people and all that. But, again, TV kind of runs the deal.
Sure.
And,
so I've heard.
And the money. So until that ESPN station kind of embraces, I think we'll see what happens.
Hey, before we get out of here, 1 minute to go. For those people who have not experienced it yet, maybe just give me the 30-second version of what the Warrior Walk has meant to your football team this year.
I'll tell you, it's an unbelievable experience. Our kids are fortunate enough because a lot of the people here who come out and support, and they're there having fun before a game. And I can tell you, our kids, you look in their eyes and you watch them come down, and they're seeing people who care about San Diego State football, and you're seeing people, their loved ones and all that there. It absolutely means a ton to those kids and how they feel about themselves and their school.
Brady, an hour flies by when I'm allowed to talk football with you. Appreciate the time tonight. Good luck against Utah on Saturday night.
Here we go.
All right, here we go. For Brady Hoke, I'm Mike Costa. You've been listening to the Aztecs Coaches Show live from the Claim Jumper in La Mesa on your home for the Red and Black in Southern California, AM 600 Kogo. Good night, everybody.